Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshamam Krishna 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 Pahimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahimam. Okay, so for those who have just joined, we're going to read from chapter 21. The paragraph begins, the scorching heat of the autumn sunshine. Okay, so we've got 2 volunteers for reading. We could maybe have a few more. Be nice. We're in this chapter called The Gopis Attracted by the Flute. And so for those who haven't been here in recent weeks, maybe those who have can fill us in. So what is the scene which we're reading from in this chapter? Can anyone say? Does anyone remember from the last couple of weeks? I think there was a few missing last week. Does anyone remember?
Is it the autumn scene?
Yeah. Anything else?
So regarding the gopis talking to each other.
Oh, you've turned on the mute, Mataji. We could hear you for a moment, but we can't hear you anymore.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, it's gopis talking to each other regarding the effect of the flute when Krishna is on the flute and what the effects comes on them. They just stop everything, and they were saying that seeing the deer. They were so fortunate that she deers as well can go and see the Krishna with them, her husbands, while the gopis, they cannot go. Their husbands will stop them. Then the other one is like the birds, they were all flying and they were just sitting on the trees and just listening. They've forgotten everything else and just listening to the sound of the flute. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So that's right. So it's the chapter where the gopis are observing Krishna, who is on his way to the forest with his cows and friends, the cowherd boys. And the gopis, while they're observing, they're talking to each other about all the glorious activities of all the other residents of Vrindavan, such as the deer, such as the birds, such as the ways Krishna is dressed. They're discussing that. They're talking about how fortunate the flute is and how fortunate the trees are, the parents of the flute, the bamboo trees, and the mothers of the flute, the rivers. So in that way, they're glorifying everyone in Vrindavan, the gopis are. So even though they're the highest devotees, by their observation, they're seeing everyone else as being very great. And everyone else is more fortunate than themselves. Okay. So they also observe the beings from the heavenly planets who were in the sky, and they were watching Krishna playing the flute. They were listening to him. They observed the cows and the calves and how they were listening to Krishna's flute. How when the calves were drinking, the calves were drinking the milk, they were stunned. They stopped drinking, and they were crying because the sound of Krishna's flute was so beautiful. Okay. And the river Yamuna we read about, who started becoming very rapid in her flow to try and offer Krishna flowers. So she swept up the flowers and brought them to Krishna. So different descriptions like that. Very poetic chapter, very beautiful. Okay, so Prabhu, I'll hand over to you now to read. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The scorching heat of the autumn sunshine was sometimes intolerable, and therefore the clouds in the sky appeared in sympathy about Krishna and Balaram and their boyfriends. While they engaged in blowing their flutes, the clouds served as a soothing umbrella over their heads just to make friendship with Krishna. Will you continue?
I'll just make a couple of comments on this. So as they're discussing the different residents of Vrindavan, the gopis are also speaking about the clouds. Yeah. And the interesting thing about the clouds, as described by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is that the clouds are not actually residents of Vrindavan in the same way as others. They don't live in Vrindavan. Yeah. Clouds don't have any resting place, isn't it? Clouds, they just move on and on. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains that the clouds are actually visitors. They're visitors in Vrindavan, and even they are coming to serve Krishna. The gopis are saying that they're making friendship with Krishna, the clouds. They're coming to Vrindavan and they make friends with Krishna. And they're offering some service as well by providing shelter from the scorching sun. And so when the gopis, they're observing this and they're appreciating the clouds, at the same time, they're also feeling a little bit displaced in the heart. They're feeling a bit of displacement. That these clouds who are coming from outside, the outsiders, they're making friends with Krishna, and they're getting this wonderful opportunity to serve Krishna, but we are not getting that opportunity. The gopis are so eager to serve Krishna; they want every opportunity to serve. So they're feeling that how are these clouds getting this opportunity to serve Krishna by giving him shelter and shade, and we are not. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in that way that they have a certain they have a hankering to serve more and more and more and more. It's never enough for them. So when they see others serving, their desire to serve Krishna increases. So this is quite important because in our line, our teachings from Srila Prabhupada, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is explained that we should be following in the footsteps of the gopis. Yeah, we should follow in the mood that they have, their heart, how their emotions are. So their mood is like that. They want to always have more service and more service. So just by seeing others having service, they're appreciating and they want to have more themselves as well. They want to serve Krishna more. Okay.
The Bojanicals became fully satisfied when they smeared their faces and breasts with dust of Vrindavan, which was reddish from the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. The Bojanicals had very full breasts and they were also very lusty, and their lovers touched their breasts. The girls were not very much satisfied when they came out in the midst of the forest. They saw that while Krishna was walking, some of the leaves and creepers of Vrindavan had turned reddish from the kumkum powder which fell from his lotus feet. His lotus feet are held by the gopis on their breasts, which are smeared with kumkum powder. But when Krishna travels in the Vrindavan forest with Balram and his boyfriends, the reddish powder falls on the ground. So the lusty Aboriginal girls were looking towards Krishna playing his flute, saw the reddish kumkum on the ground, and immediately took it, smeared it all over their faces and breasts. In this way, they became fully satisfied. Although they were not satisfied when their lovers touched their breasts, all material lusty desires can be immediately satisfied if one comes in contact with Krishna consciousness.
Okay, so here is speaking about some other visitors to Vrindavan, the Aborigine girls. So the Aborigine means that they don't come from the Vedic culture. They don't come from the cultural upbringing, people who follow the Vedas. But they just come and they're just also they're forest livers. They're forest dwellers. They live in the forest. So they've also come, and they've come to stay in Vrindavan for some time. And like the Aborigine people, they move on and on. So it's described that they're very lusty, the girls. However, it's said that their pure love is awakened. At the end of this paragraph, it says their pure love is awakened when they come in touch with Krishna. So what we can learn from this is there's a vast difference between lust and love. So we've read about this many times previously, but here in Bhagavad Gita it's also explained in great detail. But here there's a practical example given. The difference really is that lust is when someone wants to enjoy something for themselves, whether they want to enjoy something like in terms of possessions or power, or have some kind of position in society or in the community, or whether one wants to just enjoy the senses with others. So it's an external thing. It's not spiritual lust, of course. Yeah. Lust is all about trying to enjoy one's senses and mind, and the senses and mind is material. But on the other hand, in trying to do so, they came in contact with Krishna Prasadam. What was the form of that Krishna Prasadam they came into contact with?
Kumkum?
Kumkum.
Kumkum, yeah. And where did that kumkum come from Krishna?
From his lotus feet.
Yeah. So they actually, out of their lust for Krishna, they took that dust from his lotus feet. So we know how, we were speaking last week about how sacred the dust of Krishna's lotus feet is, isn't it? So they were so fortunate that they could get that dust from Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna Prasadam, in the form of that kumkum powder. And they were so, although their mood was lusty, they grabbed it and put it all over their bodies, yeah, as it said here, from head to toe, yeah. And actually that purified them. It said that there are two extremes. The lust and love is two opposite extremes of the spectrum. So it might seem like the same thing, lust and love. The gopis, they have love for Krishna, and these aborigines, they're lusty. So it may seem the same thing externally, but there's a great difference, because does anyone know what that difference is between the lust and love?
I think you just explained, Prabhuji. So you said lust is more for one's own self, own sense gratification, whereas love is more spiritual. There isn't that business of give and take. When you love because you want to love that person, and it's more to do with giving love to Krishna rather than the expectation of getting something in return from Krishna. Whereas lust always has that kind of give and take relationship, or rather it is primarily focused on one's own self to satisfy one's own senses and mind, as you just said, as opposed to the spiritual awakening or the spiritual pleasure. So it's more material pleasure.
Yeah, that's right, Mataji. Yeah, so I think you hit it there by saying that, it's the giving, isn't it? To give to someone else. It's more selfless, yeah? Yeah. So love is more selfless.
Haribol, in a simple definition, love in the material world is lust, and love in the spiritual world is love.
Yes, that's a nice way of putting it also. So on one side it looks like the same thing externally, but when it's in the spiritual world, it's love, and material world is lust. Because in the material world, the predominant mood is, as Panchali was saying, is to give and take. Actually, more of it is take. if someone is able to give me enough, then I'll give something back. That's the predominant mood in this world. If I can feel satisfied enough from someone, then I will feel obliged to give back. So that's not spiritual in nature, that type of love. But the love of the gopis is completely selfless. In that they don't want to take anything for themselves. In fact, their only wanting is more and more to serve and serve and serve, as we said. So they simply want to serve more. They want to give Krishna more pleasure than they want to take pleasure.
Yes, love in the material world, it's a business.
Yeah.
And temporary.
It's temporary.
And the love in the spiritual world is a loving, true loving relationship, which permanent.
Yeah.
Selfless.
Selfless.
When I
Yeah.
was first taught about this, I was given the analogy of a shopping list. That don't go to Krishna with a shopping list. That I love you on the condition that you give me all the things that I have on my shopping list.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
so-
a good example. So we go to Krishna and we pray to Krishna that Krishna, you're so wonderful, you're the Supreme Lord, you're the master of everyone. Please fulfill all my desires. Okay, item number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Then ring the bell. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Okay, thanks. And then back next week for the same. So, yeah. So then who is serving who? This is the question, isn't it? Who is serving who? In this type of relationship. In a lusty relationship, the person who is served is me. I want to be served. In a loving relationship, it is my beloved who is to be served. So it's a great difference, and so there are two different ends on the spectrum. So in any case, because Krishna, he is the absolute truth. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Anyone who comes in contact with him, whether they are lusty or whether they are angry or whether they are envious or whether they are proud, all of them become purified. Right? All of them become purified. No exception. So we can see so many examples of that, right? Can anyone say? Any examples of that? How different types of people who have approached Krishna, not with pure love, but with some other unwanted qualities, even, without having a pure heart, still they get purified, isn't it?
Oh, like Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
It's like all the demons.
Yeah, like all the demons.
24/7 because not because they love him, but they're against him, but they're still thinking of him.
Yeah. Yeah, can you think of one example? Any one demon?
Kamsa or Hiranyakashipu.
Kamsa, yeah, they're very big demons. Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, yeah. And there's so many, yeah. And so Kamsa, he sent so many people to Vrindavan, right?
Yeah.
So we just think of ourselves, like if I was to go to Vrindavan, if people are to go to Vrindavan, they're going because they love Krishna, or they want to love Krishna. But these people, they were specifically going to Vrindavan because they hate Krishna. Can you imagine? Such people are going to Vrindavan because they hate Krishna, and still Krishna is purifying them. How wonderful Krishna is then. That you come to someone's home because you hate them, and then they give you an embrace, they love you, they accept you. So wonderful Krishna is. So it's not so different here, isn't it? With these Aborigine girls, they've come to Vrindavan, and actually they've got a lust in their heart. But But because they see how attractive Krishna is, they want to enjoy Krishna for themselves, but they're not able to. So they take that dust from his feet and smear it over themselves, and actually they become purified. This is the story here. And so being purified means the real love in the heart, the desire to serve, selflessly serve Krishna, is awakened. Krishna consciousness is awakened. And so at the end of the story here, it said that so they did not even have that attraction towards their husbands because of being satisfied in Krishna consciousness. I can't remember the exact sentence there. So with their own lovers, they didn't have that attraction. Where is that paragraph? So you can see how they were purified in that sense.
The last sentence isn't all material lusty desires can be immediately satisfied if one comes in contact with Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right, Prabhu. So they awaken their service, their mood of service. So what to speak of us who want to love Krishna? You know, how much Krishna is willing to accept us. Yeah? If we try and approach Krishna sincerely and with an attitude that we want to try and serve him and love him, and how much Krishna would be obliged towards us, how much he would want to reciprocate and love us.
I like to share something.
Yes.
His Holiness Chandramoli Maharaj said in his lecture that when we do prayers are always with a desire. Prayers are never without desire.
Yes.
But then again, what kind of desire you have? For your own self or to serve the Lord? Like as you said earlier on, you have a long list, give me this, give me this, give me this. In other side of the coin, you ask Krishna to engage in a devotional service.
Yeah. So the question comes then, I see Panchali has a hand raised. I just want to make this one point. So the question comes then, should we approach Krishna if we have some material desire or not? Should we wait until we're pure and then approach Krishna, or should we, because all the prayers they have some desire, whether it's material desire or spiritual desire, should we approach Krishna or not if we have some material desires? So this is
I
the thing,
think you
isn't it?
should approach Krishna, even if you
Yeah.
have, because rather than approaching any demigods, I think I read somewhere in Bhagavad Gita that if you have that desire, you should really approach with the desires. But if you have that burning desire, it's better to approach with the burning desire rather than not approaching Krishna at all. So, if that is the if that is the situation, that if I'm not, until I'm purified, I will not approach Krishna, then we're never going to get purified. In this way, by approaching Krishna, we will
Yeah.
at least start getting purified a little bit. So yes, we shouldn't really go with material desire, but if that is the only option, whether to approach Krishna with a material desire or not to approach him at all, then we can.
That's right. Does everyone have anything further to add?
Yeah, in one of the scripture, I can't remember exactly where, but it said instead of going to demigods for your material benefits, better to go to Krishna.
Yeah.
And then what happens if you go to Krishna and by having association, your desire would be, material desire would be purified gradually.
Yeah, this is the thing. So this is actually recommended by scriptures. That even if you have material desires, still you should go to Krishna. It's not the highest thing, but we should know that that Krishna will purify us if we go to him. Whereas the demigods, they may give you what you want, but then you won't be pure. Your consciousness won't be pure. It will still be material. It's a very important statement in Srimad Bhagavatam. in the second canto, in the third chapter, and the text number 10, 2.3.10. And that says, Kama sarva kamova moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. Prabhupada quotes this verse so many times. What it means is whether one is without any desire, means that they only have spiritual desires, or if someone is very desirous, whether if someone is very kami, very lusty, or if someone is just wants desire to be free from anxieties, they just want liberation, or so any of these three, whether someone is without desire, whether someone has a lot of desires, or whether someone just doesn't want any material desire, then any of these people, they should worship Krishna with great effort, and then by doing so they attain perfection in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So how is that possible? How is it possible that whether you approach Krishna with desire, material desires, or without, is still beneficial? Because then someone will just say, well, then I'll just keep asking Krishna for my material things. How will that help someone?
Hare Krishna. I,
Hare
I,
Krishna.
I think it'll help because the more you pray, the more purified you get over time.
Yeah.
So then your desire changes and your goal, or the way you want to serve Krishna changes automatically.
Yeah, that's a really nice way of putting it. That your desires will change because of the Krishna is purifying us through asking for material things. We'll start asking for more spiritual things. Yeah. Anyone
Spiritual
else?
desires, Prabhuji. So our spiritual desires, are they bad? Do they bring in karma?
Are spiritual desires bad? Can you give an example?
So say, for example, so we say, you, or the route to spiritual desires. So you go through material desires. You say, I want that job. It's called, it'll give me more money. But if I get more money, I will be able to donate more to your temple or give more to charity. So your the end result might be something to do. You want to do something for Krishna. That can be a pure thought. I mean, it could be a material thought, but it could also be a pure thought that you basically want to
Right.
do more.
Got it. So it's not so black and white, you see, because sometimes these desires, they're mixed. There's some element of I want, and then there's some element of Krishna, I'll give you. If you give me what I want, then Krishna, I will give you some of what I get. Huh? So that's like a mixed desire, isn't it? So there's a Prabhu, did you want to add something?
Also, there is a difference when demigods give you something. As long as you please them, they said, okay, take this according to your desire. But when Krishna gives you something, it's not the same way. He makes an arrangement, then you have a realization.
Yeah, this is actually the key point. So Prabhuji has highlighted a very important point, that if you ask Krishna, please give me a big house, a nice car, and a widescreen TV, and all my luxuries, and every day someone is asking Krishna for that, Krishna will give you things in such a way you get realization. What does that mean? Krishna will give you what you ask for. He may give you what you ask for. He may give you. But he'll give it to you in a way that will purify you. Or in other words, what it means to be purified, he'll give it to you in a way that you will learn that it's not for you. You will learn that actually Krishna is for me. Krishna will purify in such a way that you want him more. that he'll make you closer to him by getting those things.
It's a perfect example when Sudama went to Dwarka to see Krishna, and then when he was leaving, Krishna didn't give him anything, right? Because
Yeah.
he did not want to spoil his bhakti.
Mm.
And when Sudama went to, what you call it, Sudama Nagari, and there was like palace, and palaces and everything.
Mm. Yeah, because Sudama was already desireless, Krishna gave him everything. Huh? They said that Sudama's house was greater than the house of Indra in heaven, the palace of Indra.
Yeah.
So Krishna gave him everything. He had no desire, but Krishna gave him everything. He wanted to serve Krishna, so Krishna looked after his devotees, pure devotee.
I can't
Oh,
remember exactly where in the Gita, Prabhuji, but I remember you teaching us that somewhere Krishna says that if you have pure bhakti towards me, whatever you have, I'll protect that and I'll give you even more.
Yeah.
So you're never going to lose what you have. So I can't remember which chapter now, but it's
Chapter
there somewhere
9.
in the Gita. Chapter 9. Thank you, Prabhuji.
We covered that today.
Ah, did you? Okay.
Yeah, so this is actually what purification means. Huh? Krishna preserves what you have and he carries what you lack. Huh? Because then what's the dependence? The dependence is on Krishna. I'm depending on Krishna for everything. I'm depending on Krishna. Not that I am approaching Krishna so that I can depend on the things which I'm asking for. Huh? Do you see the difference? There's one is like, I love Krishna and whatever he gives me is fine. The other is, I love these things and if Krishna gives me, that's fine. If Krishna doesn't give me, I'll go to those things anyway. The dependence isn't on Krishna, the dependence is on the things. So the point is like we either love Krishna or we love his energies. Because all of these things are Krishna's energies. So where is our dependence? Is it on Krishna or is it energies?
I think another good example is of Dhruva Maharaj. He went in a mood of because he wanted he was um,
Position.
in a mood that he wanted to ask Krishna for a bigger palace and bigger thing than his bigger kingdom than his father, because he was insulted by his stepmother. So but when he started kind of meditating on Krishna, and when he saw Krishna himself, he thought that, I am asking for broken glasses, asking Krishna for a bigger kingdom, which is like a broken glasses where I can have Krishna himself. So it's a good
Yeah.
example of Dhruva Maharaj when he went with a material desire, and then he changed his material desire changed because of the mercy of Krishna. And I think the other example for going to the temple with material desire, and if you went to the temple and if you got in touch with a pure devotee, that would start purifying you. So it's also a good idea to go even with the material desire to the temple, because there may be a chance you may get association of pure devotees or other devotees, which might, change the way of your thinking of approaching Krishna.
Hmm. Yeah, so this example of Dhruva Maharaj is similar to what we've been reading here. So these Aborigine girls, they took the dust from Krishna's lotus feet and they were purified. Dhruva Maharaj, he is it Vishnu's conch he put on the head? Isn't it Vishnu put his conch? He touched his, or is it his flower? I couldn't remember. He touched his
It
conch
was the
on
concept.
Krishna's head.
Yeah,
And when that touch was there, then immediately Dhruva became purified. He didn't want those material things anymore. Immediately he became purified. So if we can contact Krishna some way or other, will become purified, or even his pure devotees then will be purified. And that means we would not be hankering after things. We wouldn't be hankering after these material things, but we'll be hankering after Krishna. Yeah. So it doesn't matter from where we begin, whether we have those desires or not. Still approach Krishna and we'll become purified. So this is a big topic. I think we've covered it briefly. Yeah. Did you have a you were asking a question earlier, Panchali? Has it been covered?
Yeah, so I was asking about spiritual desire.
Yeah, so they can be mixed. Sometimes it can be a mixed thing. So purified means that then the desire is just to serve Krishna. A purely spiritual desire is a desire which is, the basis is on serving Krishna. First Krishna, that means it's a spiritual desire. When it's first me, then it's a material desire.
Thank you.
Alright, shall we have our next reader now? This next reader. Mom, is it you?
Yeah. Another copy began to praise the unique position of Govardhan Hill in this way. How fortunate is this Govardhan Hill, for it is enjoying the association of Lord Krishna and Balaram, who are accustomed to walking on it. Thus, Govardhan is always in touch with the lotus feet of Krishna, of the Lord. And because Govardhan Hill is so obliged to Lord Krishna and Balaram, it is supplying different kinds of fruits, roots, herbs, as well as very pleasing crystal water from its lakes in presentation to the Lord. The best presentation offered by Govardhan Hill. However, its newly grown grass for the cows and calves. Govardhan Hill knows how to please the Lord by pleasing his most beloved associates, the cows and the cowherd boys.
Right. So lust is on the one end of the spectrum, which we discussed. On the other end of the spectrum is the pure love, selfless love, yeah? So the gopis are now praising whom?
The Govardhan Hill,
Okay.
they're
Now
praising
how do they...
Govardhan. Mm.
Okay.
They're praising Govardhan because he's providing Krishna's devotees, like the cows and the cowherd boys. He's serving the devotee. He's serving Krishna as well as he's serving Krishna's devotees, and he's providing grass for the cows, um, like water, herbs, roots, and everything for the cows and the cowherd boys. So he's
Yeah, this
serving
is...
Krishna. And the gopis at one point say that actually Radharani is saying that, Giriraj is Hari something, Harival. There's a word I forgot that, he's the best devotee.
Haridas
Haridas
Avarya.
Vallav. Haridas Varya, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mum, you got to the heart of the this paragraph. So the gopis, they're saying that Govardhan Hill is actually the best of all the servants. So everyone regards that the gopis, they are the best devotees. But then who do the gopis regard as the best? Another place, the gopis, they say that Govardhan Hill, he is the best. So someone who is in a great position, if they're truly great, they will never think themselves to be great. They will never be proud of their greatness. Always they'll be able to give credit to others. That's a sign of real greatness. Or even gratitude. It's not me that's great. Actually, this person is more great. And then that person will say, no, this person is more great. No, this person is more great. So here the gopis, they call Govardhan Hill as Haridasa Varya. And the Varya means the greatest. Varya in Sanskrit. So Hari Das of Hari. Who is the greatest Das of Hari? That's Govardhan Hill. Who is the greatest servant of Krishna? That's Govardhan Hill, according to the gopis. And my mum mentioned why. So the secret to being the greatest devotee, and this is a great secret, is at the end of this paragraph, the last sentence. Govardhan Hill knows how to please the Lord by pleasing his most beloved associates, the cows and the cowherd boys. So that's the secret right there to spiritual success. Huh? So in the what was it? There's one in one of the Puranas, I can't remember offhand now. There's a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and there Krishna says, those who say they are my devotees, they are not my devotees. I don't consider them to be my real devotees. Those who say they are the devotees of my devotees, I consider them to be my real devotees. Krishna says that. So this is actually the secret of spiritual success. That if we please those who please Krishna, then that will please Krishna even more than trying to run after Krishna direct. Does it make sense? Yes? Panchali?
I have a question, Babaji. So the demigods, they're all Krishna's favorites as well. So does that mean so we can serve the demigods, but then we say we serve the demigods, but then we request the demigods to give us more spiritual desire towards Krishna. Is that how we should do? Because if we can't, I mean, demigods are also Krishna's favorites, and they are also Krishna's devotees, aren't they?
Yeah, there are many types of devotees of Krishna. That's a fact. So we should please those devotees who Krishna wants us to please. Huh? So we should see, who does Krishna want us to please? And because if our desire is to please Krishna, then we should please those who are most dear to Krishna. So we should know who is the most dear to Krishna. Yeah? Sorry, I couldn't hear.
So I mean, again, I mean, we go back to us in Bengal doing Durga Puja. So because the material energy is also an expansion of Krishna, isn't it?
Okay.
So can we pray to Durga Ma, saying we are praying to you because you're in charge of this world, but we would like but our ultimate God is Krishna, so you give us the blessings so that we can serve Krishna better. Could we do
Right,
that?
yeah, so that's one way of approaching Krishna. But we should see who we should approach that Krishna is pleased with. Krishna doesn't necessarily recommend we worship the demigods to please him. Generally, the demigods are not worshipped to please Krishna, although they can be. It's not that they are not dear to Krishna. They certainly are dear. But if we want to please Krishna, then we should please the devotees who are executing his mission. Those who are executing his mission. So because their desire is not different from Krishna's desire. The devotees who are serving Krishna's mission selflessly, because their only desire is to do Krishna's work, therefore Krishna is pleased when we serve them. Because their desire is the same as Krishna's desire. So that means ultimately Krishna's desire is fulfilled. So Krishna appreciates most when the devotees, they work together. This is the underlying thing. That when all the devotees, they work together to serve Krishna, then he's pleased. But then how do we know what Krishna wants? The pure devotees, they know what Krishna wants. So if we all serve the pure devotees of Krishna, then Krishna is most pleased. Yeah. So the spiritual master is most dear to Krishna. It's said that Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastre. That spiritual master is not different to Krishna. He's as good as God, the spiritual master. Because he is doing the work of Krishna. He's bringing us to Krishna. So if we serve the mission of the spiritual master, say, if we're serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, and those who are representing Srila Prabhupada, then for sure Krishna will be pleased. So that's the surefire way to please Krishna, to serve his representatives. And it's said that all the devas, they all reside in the body of the spiritual master. By serving the Guru, all of the devas are pleased. So important is the role of the spiritual masters. Satyanarayan Prabhu, is there something you could add to this, please? Your microphone is muted right now, Prabhu.
Yeah, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that who is engaged in my devotional service to spread my glories, they are the highest. So,
Yes.
so if you compare demigods with the pure devotees of Krishna, demigods are more not in spreading his glories, but they are more pleasing themselves and enjoyment, And obviously they've got some power. So if you ask them, if you please them, they give you something which is temporary.
Yeah, that's important.
But comparatively, what you get from a pure devotee of Krishna, this everlasting and more spiritual.
Yeah, that's a nice point, Prabhu. That the demigods, they've been empowered for a certain purpose. Yeah. So for the purpose of maintaining this creation, this material creation. And because the material creation is temporary, everything that the devas, the devis, everything they can offer is also temporary. Whereas the pure devotees, what they're offering is eternal. Yeah. So it's a key difference. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very good.
Yeah. So we should always be seeking after eternal happiness. Like if we got a certain amount of time, in our diary, then we want to make the most of that time. Do we want to do something that will mean we have to again do it and again do it and again do it, go back to the task again and again? No. So if we're going to spend some time and we're going to, pray to try and serve and please Krishna, why not pray to his eternal associates? Because they will give us eternal blessings. Otherwise, we pray to someone who is in a partial position, then again we'll have to, and again we'll have to, and again we'll have to gradually become purified.
Also, it says, if you please Krishna through his pure devotees, all the demigods are automatically pleased.
Right. Yeah, so Krishna says this in the chapter Purushottam Yoga in Bhagavad Gita. So he says that this world is like the banyan tree. That everyone resides on that banyan tree. Some are higher, some are lower. But ultimately, we want to cut down that banyan tree. We want to go back to Krishna ultimately. We don't want too much to do with this temporary world. Okay, so Mom, do you want to read one more paragraph? Okay, you're on mute at the moment. Still can't hear you.
Now, another
Yeah,
gopi
that's
said,
better.
everything appears wonderful when Krishna and Balram travel in the forest of Vrindavan, playing their flutes and making intimate friendship with all kinds of moving and non-moving living creatures. When Krishna and Balaram play on their transcendental flutes, the moving creatures become stunned and stop their activities. The non-moving living creatures like trees and plants begin to shiver with ecstasy. These are the wonderful reactions of the vibration of transcendental flutes of Krishna and Balaram.
Hmm.
Like carry on?
One moment. So here is explained the effect of Krishna's blowing his flute, Krishna playing the flute. Huh? So what is the effect of Krishna's playing his flute? On different types of living beings.
So they just freeze. They stop what they're doing, and they become stunned to hear the sound.
Hmm.
And they
That's
just
right.
stop.
Okay, anyone else to add to that?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's
Hare Krishna.
mentioned that the non-moving, like the trees and plants, the word ecstasy is mentioned, which
Hmm.
comes to mind that the pure love and the, like we say, you go into a trance. It's like that. They become completely happy with ecstasy and
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So there's two aspects to this effect of Krishna's flute. Yeah. Or you can say that Krishna, he reverses the ordinary nature of someone. You know. So those who are still, they become moving, and those who are moving, they become
still.
still. So that's the effect of Krishna's flute. So all the creatures and all the people, they hear Krishna's flute, and they become stunned, frozen. Yeah. So they become frozen. They're moving beings, but they become frozen. And the non-moving beings, trees and plants and so on, non-moving meaning, they don't move their limbs and head, so on. They don't have moving limbs, trees and plants. So they become moving. As it says here, they shiver with ecstasy. Or as we say in common terms, they get goosebumps, So all these trees and plants and even the stones, the stones, they begin to melt. He said that even the stones, they start to melt when Krishna plays his flute. And Govardhan hill, he shivers. So all of the shrubs and everything which is growing on Govardhan, he shivers because of the beautiful sound of Krishna's flute.
I give you one comparison with this. When we have a London Rath Yatra, and people in general, they're walking past, but they just stop and seeing Rath cars and having darshan of the deities and hearing the kirtan. They just forget everything else.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example.
They are like, they are not devotees, but they are fully absorbed,
Yeah,
watching all this.
yeah. I've seen it many times. It's quite amusing to see,
Yeah.
Like you see on the Rath Yatra, and someone just comes around the corner, onto, like, I don't know, is it what's it, Trafalgar Square or Piccadilly, isn't it? Piccadilly, when the Rath is coming down, and they just come around the corner like, my God, what's this? just like stunned, wow. They can hear the music from far, and they come close, and they're still doing their own thing, and then they're, whoa. My God, what's this? Yeah,
Even,
this is such a great
yeah,
example.
even they forget where they are standing and what everything.
Yeah, people get really swept up in the festival. Yeah, definitely. I had the service for some years to distribute books. In the Rath Yatra, I would try and give out Prabhupada's books. And sometimes you approach people, and they come around. Usually you want to approach people who are kind of, who are not too close in. A little bit further away, you can speak to them, explain, this Bhagavad Gita or whatever. But you find that the people who just come around the corner, and many times I've seen it, it's like they couldn't care less what you say. They're still just so like, whoa, so stunned by the whole atmosphere, the whole scene, and everything going on. They just, they're just so drawn into it. Doesn't matter what you're saying to them. They're like, yeah. They're just like, okay, here, £20, whatever, and they're just running into the Rath Yatra festival, and they're just like, yeah, great example.
So basically, devotees are fully absorbed in being active, and non-devotees are also fully absorbed.
Yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
comparison to non-moving and moving.
yeah,
Because if general, they become non-moving. They just stand and watch, and the devotees are moving like kirtan and backward and forward.
yeah. Actually, sometimes you find that even the non-devotees, the people who are just coming from around the corner, they get more absorbed than the devotees even.
Yeah.
Sometimes for us devotees, oh yeah, another Rath Yatra, yeah, let's go, pull a chariot, clap your hands in the kirtan, yeah. It just becomes like another ritual sometimes for us, if we're not in the right consciousness. I'm not speaking about you all, maybe me. But if we're not in the right consciousness, then it's just like, oh, another day, another week, another Rath Yatra. And then for other people, it's just like, whoa, it's just a big thing, So yeah, it can be that way as well. But yeah, definitely the devotees are moving and doing all sorts of things, all kinds of activities to please Krishna. And others are coming and seeing and they're becoming stunned. That's there as well.
I just wanted to add one thing. I know somebody who came first. They first kind of got introduced to Rath Yatra. They came to the Rath Yatra, and somebody approached them to come to the open day. And now she is a fully devoted, and she joined my a few years ago. She joined my decoration team, and then we cultivated her, and now she's like serving in somewhere in Europe. So there is a chance people do come to Rath Yatra and then become devotees. So I know one of the person who did that. So yeah, people do get attracted by Jagannath.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not uncommon. We used to do a service that we used to do introduction course, introduction to Bhakti Yoga. And we used to always do it just after the Rath Yatra, because we'd give out all of the flyers in the Rath Yatra, and then people would come right after Rath Yatra for this course. And sometimes, they'd be more serious and they would start to chant and things. So yeah, definitely that happens a lot. Hare Krishna, Smita Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Can I just share something because we're talking about Rath Yatra?
Yes, please, yeah.
Just a personal sharing here. I went to India at one stage in Gujarat. It's called town's called Rajkot, and they have Rath Yatra around this time of the year, like I think November, December time, something like that. I can't remember what month it was, but I happened to be there, and they actually stopped the cart, and you can actually go up the stairs, and you can actually in that Rath be like one to one with Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Rani. you know, like you can't go into a temple and you can't go into the altar without being initiated. But ordinary
Yeah.
people can just go right up to them where the Rath is. Right, you know, you have to climb up to the
Yeah.
Rath where they are, and and you can actually take darshan and come back down again.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah, so that's closer to what they do in the original Rath Yatra in Orissa, in Puri, Jagannath Puri, Orissa. That every night the chariots, when they stop, because it's several days, then at the evenings the devotees, they can go up and they can make personal offerings and prayers to Jagannath. They can even go and hug Lord Jagannath, the original Jagannath of Jagannath Puri. Mum, you've been, isn't it, to Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra?
I went to Jagannath Puri Yatra and it was an amazing experience because there were not thousands, millions of people, and they had this hose pipe by fire engine people because like it was so hot. It was you couldn't even move a step. But in the evening, you could really go, like as you're saying, you could. Uh, because the first day the crowd is really hefty, and then in the evening you could go up to the cart, and then you could just go into Jagannath Darshan up there. It was just I mean, at that time it didn't sink in so much, but now thinking after a few years thinking of it, it's just some sort of amazing experience out of the world when you see the Jagannath Yatra in Jagannath Puri. And on the third
Yeah.
day, the cart they stop where it's not a very long distance. It takes them 2 days to get to Gundicha temple. And it was a nice experience because we had a chance to go and clean the Gundicha temple as well.
Hmm.
I mean,
Really good experience.
I remember a little bit. So when I was uh, very I mean very young. I mean little actually. So my parents took me and my brother to Puri. So we went there years ago. And the only thing I remember was we had to um, uh, go around the deities, and then there are loads of people over there who just come and grab you. And it was just scary. The pandas, I think they are called, and it's just scary because they just I don't know. I mean that um, kind of fear remained with me because they can sometimes be quite
A little bit aggressive,
aggressive.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, that was years ago. I don't remember anything because I was quite young at the time. But yes, hopefully I'll be able to go back there again. And same calls for Manipur. So we were tiny when we went. I mean, so hopefully Krishna will call us again, and then we can go to the temples again.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of Rath Yatra, Lord Jagannath coming out from the altar to give everyone special mercy, either they are devotees or non-devotees.
That's why you can
yeah,
have a
so
darshan,
wonderful.
go up to the cart and have darshan and all.
Hmm.
Jagannath himself wants to give them. So
I
no one
like
can
the
come in the way. If one does, no one can. They have to allow them.
I like the idea of going and hugging Jagannath, as Prabhuji said. That's a really nice thing. If you're allowed to do that, that kind of is the basis of the whole concept of how personal Krishna can be, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can be his. You can just greet him like your own dear person.
Yeah, and
Yes,
that Jagannath in Puri, the original Jagannath, he's huge as well. He's like, you really have to stretch your arms. I never had the experience myself, but I've heard from friends. He's huge, you know.
yeah,
So you really have
we
to.
had like to share it. We went first time. I think it was 89 something. 89. Went with our Guru Maharaj for yatra. We went to Jagannath Puri, and then we went right in, uh, and in the morning. So there was going to be bathing for Jagannath, and Panda said to Guru Maharaj, let them, you can stay, but they all can't stay. And Guru Maharaj said, they all are Brahmin, so why can't they stay? They will have to stay. And somehow they allowed. So we were so
Yeah.
fortunate to see whole Abhishek for them, and then we could put our head, go around, put our
Very
head down
closely.
very closely, put our hands on their feet and everything.
Yeah.
And it was a really good experience. In that case, when they were all went in, somehow I was distracted and I was left behind, and they won't allow me in
Oh.
there. Yeah, so I screamed and I said, Jagannath, Jagannath, please let me in, Jagannath. And then they let me in. I just started screaming to Jagannath. It was my experience. And now after that, now we can't go inside because that was my much. And that time we got and with one brothers who were doing garlands. So me and one of my god sister, we approached them somehow. And we had made the outfit for them. That was our first outfit going. We made from here to do. So we came there and said, really, we went for 2 days after them. Can we make garland? You can't make garland and flowers comes at any time and it's really rush and then one of the partners said, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do it at my place, so you can come at this time. We said, okay. Then slowly other girls said, why can't we come? So slowly we just took them up. Said, please, please, please. And we could put some flowers into garlands because it came late, so we couldn't do a whole garland. But that was really nice.
Yeah.
Good experience,
You guys are so fortunate, huh? You got to see
So I think
Jagannath so closely.
5 to 6 years we did the outfit for Jagannath Puri. And that
Oh,
time
for Jagannath Puri.
I
Okay.
was looking for material in London and going around everywhere. And it's only what he likes, we get it. In the end, I go everywhere, then I go again into those places. And it was really tough time. They wouldn't let you get just like that. And now as well, uh, Jagannath Snan Yatra, Gamchas, I make it. And I never get any material I want straight away. I have to really pray for it. Please, where can I go? What can
Go
I do?
around and search.
And search. I searched for 3-4 months. I keep on searching for them before I get it. And in the end, I get it somehow.
Prabhuji,
Yeah,
since
so
we're talking
Jagannath is
about
choosy. Myself
um,
is very choosy.
Prabhuji, since we're talking about serving Jagannath personally, etc., it just kind of makes what we read today quite relevant as well, right at the beginning about the gopis feeling jealous about the clouds. And it's also very, very, personalizing the relationship between the gopis, Krishna and the clouds and the Krishna. And it also kind of reminds me of what you taught us earlier about how jealousy can also be positive. So apparently in the material world, if you talk about jealousy, it is automatically assumed to be a negative or an emotion that has a negative connotation to it. But in the spiritual world, there is, I remember you taught us the difference between envy and jealousy. That in the spiritual world, there is also jealousy, but it is for a positive reason. So you're jealous because you want the attention from Krishna, not because you want to destroy Krishna, as the demons wanted to do because they were envious of Krishna. So the cloud, paragraph we read today, that again, it kind of it's quite a um, more of a similar line or similar thread, isn't it, of the personal relationship we all want to have with Krishna, and how there are there's this interplay of various or different types of emotions that come into it when we interact with Krishna, whether it's lust or love or jealousy or, passion or any other thing.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, but we also have to be careful in the sense that we don't try and imitate the pure devotees. We try to follow, but not imitate. So, although they can exhibit these things, like Mother Yashoda, she's angry to Krishna. So we cannot copy that. We cannot, Krishna, you didn't allow me to, pass my exam. you know. So we can't be angry at Krishna, though, and we cannot be lusty towards Krishna the way the gopis are, and we cannot be jealous of other devotees. But we can do in under guidance. You see, I feel it's because the emotions towards Krishna are real. So with the guidance of senior devotees, then we can understand how we can relate to Krishna better with our heart.
But our relations, our emotions will be completely different to what they feel in the spiritual world, isn't it? Ours will be, covered with the material desires. So
Yeah.
ours, whether
thing.
we feel anger or jealousy or any other thing, they would be diluted in their diluted
Yeah.
form. Whereas in the spiritual world, it's more in their pure form, isn't it? So
Yes.
yeah.
So that's why we cannot imitate. That's the difference between copying and actually following. So following means that the base mood has to be there. That serving Krishna is there. Whatever increases our service to Krishna, is good for us.
Yeah, that's why we need more association of pure devotees, which through them our material desires gets transformed into spiritual desires.
Yes. I'm just conscious there's a couple of paragraphs to the end of the chapter. So it would be nice if we could try and finish this chapter, and then we can next week start the next chapter. So yeah, very nice. Thank you, Satyanarayan Prabhu, for bringing us back to Rath Yatra. We missed it so much last year.
Yes,
And the next reader.
I've been missing my service to Rath Yatra. Cleaning and painting 3 Rath cars.
Ready to go out.
Getting ready for Rath Yatra. I'm
Right.
missing that service.
So you brought it to life for us, Rath Yatra. Thank you.
And hopefully I will have to work harder next year, because when you doing routine, you not so much to do, but
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So Panchali, would you mind to read the last couple of paragraphs for us now?
So Hare Krishna. So Krishna and Balarama carried binding ropes on their shoulders and in their hands, just like ordinary cowherd boys. While milking cows, cowherd boys bind the cow's hind legs with a small rope. This rope almost always hangs from the shoulders of cowherd boys, and it was not absent from the shoulders of Krishna and Balarama. In spite of their being supreme personality of Godhead, they played exactly like cowherd boys, and therefore everything became wonderful and attractive. While Krishna was engaged in tending the cows in the forest of Vrindavan or on Govardhan Hill, the gopis in the village were always absorbed in thinking of him and discussing his different pastimes. This is the perfect example of Krishna consciousness, to somehow or other remain always engrossed in thoughts of Krishna. The vivid example is always present in the behavior of the gopis. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya declared that no one can worship the Supreme Lord by any method which is better than the method of the gopis. The gopis were not born in very high Brahmana or Kshatriya families. They were born in the families of Vaishyas and not in big mercantile communities, but in the families of cowherd men. They were not very well educated, although they had all sorts of knowledge from the Brahmanas, the authorities of Vedic knowledge. The gopis' only purpose was to remain always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 21st chapter of Krishna, the gopis attracted by the flute.
Yeah, so this is coming to wonderful conclusions now. So the first paragraph mentions how Krishna and Balaram, they are like the original cowherd boys. Yeah, they're the original cowherds boys. So it's natural for them to do everything the way that cowherd boys would do. Huh? As I said, man is made in the image of God, not the other way around. This is even the Christian philosophy is like that. Yeah, man is made in the image of God. So everything they did was wonderful and attractive as cowherd boys, Krishna and Balaram. Even that they were carrying the ropes which they would tie the cows. Everything they did was so attractive. And then everything in this world is just simply a reflection of their activities and the different avatars and pastimes. And the next paragraph explains that the gopis, they could go on and on and on, just talking about the different activities of Krishna in this way. Yeah. And we come to an important conclusion in this paragraph, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what does he declare?
He basically says that the gopis are the best devotees because the way they worship Krishna is the best method.
That's right, yeah. That the method of worshipping Krishna, there are many methods to worship Krishna, but the best of all is the method of the gopis. So this is explained in discussions between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. And it's very interesting discussions that they have, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I'll just be very brief. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he approaches Ramananda Rai and he discusses Varnashram with him, following one's duties, occupational duties, one's status in life, just by doing your duties and, pleasing Krishna in that way. And Ramananda Rai says, no, that's not the highest way to serve Krishna, just doing your duties, because it's an external thing. Because in one life you have these duties, in another life you'll have another duties. So in that way, it's external. It's not actually understanding who am I, what is my relationship with Krishna. You are understanding who am I in this world and how I can use this world to serve Krishna. That's external. But what the gopis are doing, you go to higher and higher levels. They are the highest level in the spiritual world in serving Krishna. Their example is the most selfless. Because it's said here, no one can worship any method which is better than the method of the gopis, because they don't have any external reason to worship Krishna. They're not from any high-born families, as Prabhupada says here. They're just simple village girls, and they didn't actually want anything from Krishna. They just wanted to serve him. They wanted for him to be happy. So there's a nice pastime where Krishna gets a headache. In Dwarka, Krishna gets a headache. Yeah? Of course, Krishna doesn't really get headaches. He's God. Why would he? He doesn't have even a material body, so he has no reason for headache. But the pastime is like that he gets a headache. And then all the different devotees, they're saying, Krishna, what can I do? How can we help you? And then Krishna says, the only thing that will cure me from the headache is the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees. If I put that on my head, my headache will be cured. So all the devotees are thinking, we cannot put the dust of our feet on your head. You're our Lord. You're the Supreme Lord. How can we do such a thing? We'll go to hell. So then the word gets around that, Krishna is having a headache and who's going to help him, and nobody wants to put the dust of their feet on Krishna's head. Then Krishna explains that if you approach the gopis, they will give the dust of their feet without any reservation. So this is the mood of the gopis, that their mood is that, never mind, I'll go to hell. Never mind. I will go to hell eternally if it gives Krishna a moment of relief. Huh? That's the mood of the gopis. They're willing to go to hell eternally to give Krishna a moment of relief. So there's no better mode of worship than that. Such selfless love cannot be found anywhere. So this is our great fortune, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we come in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, and they're giving us this highest thing, this Gopi Bhakti. They're explaining this to us, which is such a secret thing. And we'll read more about this in the next chapter. So we'll wrap up here. Sorry I didn't get to converse with you all on this last couple of paragraphs. So does anyone have any comments or questions on this?
Yes.
Yes, go.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Pariteja, Mamekam Saranam, and that's gopis were doing.
Oh yeah.
They were
Great
leaving
point,
all their occupational duties and go to Krishna.
Absolutely, yeah. So they were not serving Krishna within the occupational duties. Yeah. Sarva Dharma, they gave up all of their dharmas to serve Krishna. Yeah.
I wish there was a bit more on Radharani. Because there's no mention of Radharani specifically. I mean, she was the chief gopi, wasn't she? I wish there was a bit more, and then we could know a bit more about the pastimes of Krishna and Radharani.
Well, when we're more qualified, then we can learn more. So that's coming in later chapters. Okay. So thank you, everyone. We will do a round of japa as we always do. So I hope you have your japa beats ready.
Thank you. See you next week, everybody.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Bye bye.
Is that okay?
Sure. Thanks for joining. Hare Krishna. Classic Krishna Katha. And we've completed yet another chapter. It's amazing in one sense. It's going so quickly, isn't it? I hope you're finding it really relishable. I also just wanted to thank the devotees who are assisting in the group. So, every week our videos are provided, and also the recordings and the Zoom meeting is hosted by Amu Mataji and Lanisha. So I really just wanted to say thank you to them very much. And as well as that, every day we're getting these wonderful quotes from Jigna Mataji. Yeah, so it's just keeping us going through the week, isn't it? There's so many wonderful quotes and points that she takes, and she adds pictures to them. So I really appreciate it. And so wishing everyone a happy Krishna conscious week ahead. And also recently, Sham Vallabha, actually just wanted to mention as well, is posting kirtan videos. We do weekly kirtans for ISKCON London Temple, and so she's posting the video recordings of our weekly kirtans in the WhatsApp group as well, so start checking those out too if you like. Yes, okay, so
Is that
wishing
in
you
our
a
group,
happy week.
Prabhuji?
Hmm?
Will that be in our group, this Krishna reading group?
Yeah, so for the last 2 weeks she's been posting the kirtans that we've been doing for ISKCON London. So myself and Sham Vallabh and a couple of other devotees, we do kirtan every week for ISKCON London. So if you want to have a look, those YouTube videos are being posted by her.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, thanks for joining.
Thank you.